All right, now.
Okay. Today, what we're going to do, once you put your name on your paper, we're going to do this activity. Now, this activity is around vocabulary. And vocabulary is very important to reading, okay? You have to have vocabulary in order to read, all right? Right? Now, I chose this story because it deals with the weather, and this is a science activity that I thought you all may enjoy doing. Now, our learning goal for this, that you will be able to answer questions at the end, and you will also be able to decode, or you will be able to decode your unfamiliar words, words that you don't know you'll be able to pronounce, by looking around the sentence. And that's what we call context clues. Okay? Around that word that you don't know, it's going to give you some clues. So in this reading, what we're going to do, we're going to read, and then we're going to figure out what the words mean by looking around in that sentence to try to figure out what the definition of the word. Everybody got me?
Yes.
Okay, how are you right now? One? Right on one? You understand? If you understand, raise your finger. One finger. Okay. All right, you understand? Raise one finger. Raise one finger. You understand? Put up one finger. Noel, put up one finger. One finger. Good job. Everybody understand. Now, I'm going to read, and I want you all to follow along with me. What is meteorologist? Now, just looking at that title, what you think that long, that's a big word. So we're going to take our pencil and we're going to put a block. We're going to box our title in. We're going to box our title in. Okay? What is a meteorologist? Okay, are we ready? All right. No? You finished? You ready? All right. Now, put your finger on the first word. We're going to start it. Okay. The weather is a very important part of our daily lives. The weather is a very important part of our daily lives. Many people, such as pilots and fishermen, need weather information every day in order to do their jobs. So pilots and fishermen need to know the weather. Why do you think the pilots and fishermen needs to know the weather? Can anyone tell me by raising your hand? Why do you think it's important that a fisherman or a pilot, raise your hand if you know what a fisherman is. Oh, they go fishing, okay? All right. Now, what about a pilot? Who know what a pilot is? Yes.
Like a plane.
Okay, they fly the plane. So why do you think it's important for them to know the weather? Why do you think it's important for them to know the weather? Yes.
So they can watch out. To keep an eye on rain.
That's right. In case it rains, a fisherman needs to know that, so he'll know how to dress. Sometimes fishermen.
You need the
Windshield wipers. Okay. Yeah. So the pilot needs to see because he's flying in the air. So the pilot needs to see. So it's important that a pilot or fisherman know the weather. Very good. Good job. Now. Okay, they need to know, and that is what you said. They need to know the weather information every day in order to do their jobs. So it's important for them to know the weather so they can do their jobs. People called meteorologists study the weather. Underline that word, meteorologist. Meteorologist. Underline the word meteorologist. Underline that word, called meteorologist. Help her, Christian. Okay, now, can someone tell me what meteorologist mean? By just reading that first sentence. What is a meteorologist? What does meteorologists do? They study. Say it. They study the weather. So what is a meteorologist? They study the weather. What is a meteorologist? They study the weather. They study the weather. So right there in that sentence, we found out what that word means. They study the weather and try to predict. Oh my God. What is predict? What does that mean? Underline that word, predict. They study the weather and they predict. Predict. What does that mean? They predict. So meteorologists study the weather and they try to predict what the weather will be like in the near future. Predict. What do you think that word means? Meteorology is the study of the weather, right? So they do that so they can predict what the weather will be like. So what would predict mean? What does that mean in this sentence? Predict. They try to tell. They try to tell. Very good. They try to. They try to have the weather. To know how the weather is. Okay. So to predict is to tell. Okay. To give your opinion. You make a prediction. All right. Now, meteorologists. We right here at the next paragraph. We're here in the next paragraph. Meteorologists study weather maps to make predictions. Okay, that word is very similar to the word that we just found out. Okay, to find out something. So the meteorologists study weather to make predictions. To make predictions about the weather. So they predict. They think about what may happen or what the weather is going to be like. Then they'll say, okay, it's going to rain. Once they use their little machines, they put it on the machines, and they predict. So they make predictions. Okay, we predict all this week is going to be sunny. Raise your hand if you watch the news sometime and they do the weather.
I watch the news.
Okay.
I'm out of trouble.
Okay. So when they, do y'all watch the weather when they have the little portion on it where they talk about the
I
weather?
saw the one with the streets all blocked.
Okay.
Full of water.
Okay. So they made a prediction. They'll tell you, okay, they'll start Sunday and give you a whole week of how they think the weather is going to be. Okay? So, once we do that, they gather information about the weather from many different sources. Weather airplane and weather satellite, weather ships, and weather balloons send information to computer at the National Weather Services. So that is one of the ways that they can find out, predict what the weather is going to be by weather airplanes, weather satellites, weather ships, and weather balloons. So they send all of those tools out, and they try and get a prediction of what the weather is going to be. All right? Many meteorologists are able to use this information to make weather forecasts. Weather forecast. That's what we were talking about. Forecast. Weather forecast. Underline that. Weather forecast. Weather forecast. Forecast. Help her find it, Casey. Okay. Weather forecast.
That helps her.
Okay, good. Good job. That's what we're here for, to help each other. That's important. Now, listen what forecast is. Right in the next sentence, it's going to tell us what forecast, that word forecast means. A forecast is the prediction meteorologists make about the weather for the near future. Okay? A forecast is the prediction meteorologists make about the weather in the near future. After the meteorologists create the forecast, it is seen on radio, television stations, newspaper to provide people with information about the weather. So that's what we were talking about. Remember I said on the news, sometimes they have the part on the news where they talk about the weather. They say next we're going to have da-da-da-da. Whoever that guy is, the weather guy, I forgot his name.
Sometimes they're a boy, sometimes they're a girl.
Okay, that's right, that's right. And they'll say, coming up next, we're going to talk about the weather. So that's when they make a forecast, they predicting the weather. So any questions? All right. All right. So everybody understand? 1 if you understand, 2 if you don't kind of understand, 3 if you got it. Okay. 1, you totally, okay. 1, you understand. 2, you don't understand. Okay. So let's take a vote. Did everyone understand what meteorologists predict and forecast mean? Give me 1 if you understand, and 2 if you don't understand. Let's take a vote. Okay, we got 1s. 1, 2, 3. What about you, Christian?
1.
Okay, 1. What about you, Noel? 1 or 2? A 1 or 2? Okay. You said 2. Okay. But 1 or 2? 1. Okay. All right. So it seemed like everyone had it.